Hello, this is Betsy Waugh. For the next hour, I'll be reading from the Thursday, July 30th issue of the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Concerns at former Kodak site evaluated. State DEC reclassifies it as Superfund location by Steve Howe, Rochester Democrat Chronicle, USA Today Network. The State Department of Environmental Conservation has reclassified the former Kodak Hawkeye plant in Rochester as a Class II state Superfund site after contaminants were found in soil, groundwater, and soil vapor. The site underwent a collection and laboratory analysis of soil, groundwater, and perimeter soil gas samples between 2023 and 2024. The testing found chlorinated compounds in the subsurface soil, mainly trichloroethylene, trichloroethene, commonly used as a degreaser. The chlorinated compounds were found in groundwater samples at monitoring wells and in soil vapor. The vapor was detected in all 8 on-site buildings. While the new Class II designation from the DEC indicates a threat, it does not mean that people are currently being exposed to contamination. It does, however, increase the level of oversight, investigation, and cleanup at the site. The DEC will complete a remedial investigation to define the nature and extent of the contamination, assess exposure pathways, and evaluate cleanup options. It will include installing and sampling soil borings, collecting soil vapor and indoor air samples, installing and monitoring groundwater wells to monitor impacts on and off-site. The Hawkeye site is located at the intersection of St. Paul Street and Avenue E, backing up to the Genesee River. It was locked down last November following 7 arrests for burglary and trespassing in September 2025 alone. The 2 St. Paul Street parcels that comprise the complex were sold in April to Linked Home Investment LLC for $745,000. The total assessment for the properties was $1.29 million. There are 5 classifications for Superfund sites in New York, with 1 representing an imminent danger to causing irreversible or irreparable damage to the environment, and number 5 representing a site that's been properly closed and does not require further action. Nursing homes sue New York over medical aid in dying act by Emily Barnes, New York State Team, USA Today Network. 2 Catholic nursing homes in Westchester County are suing New York over the state's recently passed Medical Aid in Dying Act, asserting it violates federal law and has, quote, significant, unquote, fines and penalties for those refusing to take part. The legislation, also called MAID, or MAID, is set to take effect on August 5th and will allow doctors to prescribe lethal pills to mentally competent patients who request them and are determined to have less than 6 months to live with no hope of recovery. While the bill was first proposed in Albany in 2016, New York Governor Kathy Hochul approved the measure in February after the state legislature passed it through last year. Cabrini of Westchester, a nursing facility run by the Carmelite Sisters in Dobbs Ferry that offers palliative care, and the Dominican Sisters of Hawthorne, who operate the 42-bed Rosary Hill home in Hawthorne and offer free hospice care for terminal cancer patients who can't afford to go elsewhere, are 2 of several orders of Catholic nuns and Catholic healthcare ministries challenging the incoming state law. Quote, for over 25 years, we have ministered to the poor who are dying of cancer as if they were Christ himself. Mother Marie Edwards, Superior General of the Dominican Sisters of Hawthorne, said in a statement, quote, our calling is to offer comfort, prayer, and loving medical care to those in their final days, not death, she added. We pray the court will protect our freedom to remain faithful to that ministry God has entrusted to us, unquote. The Dominican Sisters this year also sued the state over its new transgender policies, which require nursing homes across New York to respect the gender identities of residents in deciding room assignments and which restrooms they may use. The sisters argued it would force them to violate the Catholic Church's teaching that a person's gender at birth can't be changed and infringe on their constitutional rights. Here's what the lawsuit says. Why was the medical aid in dying lawsuit filed? Filed on Friday, July 17th in the Northern District of New York, the sisters are seeking to either, quote, not coerce religious providers in this way, unquote, or block MAID or MAID entirely, as they say it violates multiple parts of federal law, the First Amendment, Americans with Disabilities Act, Equal Protection Clause, and Supremacy Clause, and will cause those who refuse to take part in it to, quote, face crippling fines, professional sanctions, and criminal penalties. Following their Catholic faith, these ministries cannot prescribe lethal suicide drugs, direct patients to obtain them, or help facilitate a patient's suicide in any way, unquote. A news release provided by Beckett, a nonprofit legal institute that protects free religious expression, said, quote, yet New York's Medical Aid in Dying Act will force them to do exactly that, unquote, the organization added. According to the lawsuit, the sisters say MAID, or M-A-I-D, forces New York hospitals, nursing homes, and assisted living homes to potentially jeopardize their federal health care funding and calls the opt-out, quote, among the narrowest in the nation, unquote, as they say it, quote, doesn't apply to independent assisted living facilities like those run by the Benedictine sisters, unquote. Quote, the Catholic patients who wish to die without being offered the chance to kill themselves at their lowest moment will be left out in the cold, unquote, the lawsuit states. In an emailed response to the USA Today network, a spokesperson for Hochul's office said they don't comment on pending litigation, but added that, quote, under this historic legislation, participation is entirely voluntary, and religious facilities have the right to opt out if they choose to do so, unquote. Quote, what this law does allow allow terminally ill New Yorkers with less than 6 months to live to make a voluntary informed decision. It reflects years of thoughtful planning and consideration, the statement continued. The Department of Health is working on regulations that implement the law thoughtfully and responsibly, unquote. Hochul has previously said she understands and respects the views of the Catholic Church and others in regard to the legislation, but referred to her mother's battle with ALS as a reason behind her decision to ultimately sign it. What is required by New York's Medical Aid in Dying Act? New York was the 13th state to legalize medically assisted suicide for terminally ill patients. The following requirements need to be met in order to qualify for MAID, according to the State Department of Health. Here are the requirements. A signed written request by the patient with 2 witnesses. An oral request by the patient must be recorded by video or audio. Anyone who may benefit financially from the death of the patient is not eligible to serve as a witness to an oral request or be an interpreter for the patient. The determination by an attending physician and consulting physician that the patient has a terminal illness or condition and has decision-making capacity. The initial evaluation of a patient by a physician has to be done in person. A mental health evaluation of the patient by a psychologist or psychiatrist to determine their decision-making capacity has to take place. The attending physician has to fully inform the patient of feasible alternatives and appropriate treatment options. A mandatory waiting period of 5 days between when the prescription is written and filed. The patient must self-administer the medication. Will those who decline to honor a patient's medically assisted suicide request face fines? No, they won't, as participation in MAID is voluntary, according to the State Department of Health. Quote, no physician, pharmacist, other healthcare provider, or other person shall be subject to liability or penalty or professional disciplinary action by any government entity for taking any reasonable good faith action or refusing to act under the medical aid in dying law, the DOH's website states. And according to the governor's office, religious facilities and their affiliates can ban MAID from taking place inside their facilities, restrict their employees from being involved in MAID, and penalize any employees that do participate. The only requirement healthcare providers who deny honoring a patient's request for medical aid in dying have to follow is arranging for the transfer of the patient. USA Today Network reporter Chris McKenna contributed to this report. The main reporter, Emily Barnes, covers state government for the USA Today Network New York. Follow her on Instagram or X at by Emily Barnes. Get in touch at ebarnes@usatodayco.com. Henrietta Mann sentenced to life in prison without parole. Parents, sister were murdered in 2023. By Victoria E. Friel, New York Connect Team, USA Today Network. A Henrietta Mann on Tuesday was sentenced to the maximum penalty, life in prison without the possibility of parole, for fatally stabbing his parents and sister inside the family's Henrietta home in 2023. Rajib A. Banahi, 43, was convicted last month on 3 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of aggravated criminal contempt following a bench trial in Monroe County Court. The trial was held in April, and Monroe County Court Judge Michael Dollinger delivered the guilty verdict on June 23rd, according to the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. At Tuesday's sentencing, Banahi received 3 concurrent sentences of life without the possibility of parole, 1 for each murder conviction, meaning he will serve the life sentences at the same time, the district attorney's office said. The killings occurred on January 11th of 2023 during a domestic dispute at the family's home on Cathy Drive in Henrietta. Prosecutors said Banahi stabbed his father, Ali Banahi, his mother, Mastura Banahi, and his sister, Mazuda Banahi, multiple times with 1 or more kitchen knives. He also beat all 3 victims. Ali Banahi and Mastura Banahi died at the scene, according to the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Mazuda Banahi, 43, of Virginia, was taken to Strong Memorial Hospital with life-threatening injuries. She died several weeks later. Authorities said Rahab Banahi called 911 and told dispatchers he had stabbed members of his family. He was taken into custody at the scene. Assistant District Attorney Patrick Gallagher, who prosecuted the case with Assistant District Attorney Michael Harrigan, said life without parole was, quote, the only appropriate sentence for this extreme act of violence, unquote. Quote, Rajab Banahi murdered his father, mother, and sister in a brutal act of domestic violence that shattered an entire family, Gallagher said. For the remaining members of the Banahi family, there is no relief, no closure, just the end of this devastating and horrific chapter, unquote. Man suffers brain injury in fall from pickup truck. Driver left scene, faces endangerment charges. By Victoria E. Friel, New York Connect Team, USA Today Network. An Ontario man faces felony charges after police said a passenger fell from the bed of a pickup truck he was driving earlier this month and suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. The incident happened around 12:30 a.m. on Sunday, July 5th on Lakeshore Drive in Canandaigua, according to the Canandaigua Police Department. Police said the driver made a K-turn on Lakeshore Drive before accelerating at high speed, causing a 25-year-old passenger riding in the truck bed to be thrown from the vehicle, Canandaigua Police Chief Matthew Nielsen said. Thomas Galgano, 25, of Naples, Ontario County, fell from the truck bed and struck his head on the pavement, police said. The driver left the scene without contacting police or emergency medical services, according to investigators. Police identified the driver of Reese A. Cooper, 25, of Naples. Cooper was charged Monday with first-degree reckless endangerment, leaving the scene of an accident resulting in serious personal injury. Cooper was taken to CAP court for arraignment Monday, police said. Nielsen said Cooper's actions caused, quote, serious physical injury and created a grave risk of death, unquote, to Galgano. Galgano suffered a severe traumatic brain injury, including fractures, internal swelling, and hemorrhaging, police said. He was taken to Strong Memorial Hospital for treatment on July 5th and remained in guardant condition in the hospital's intensive care unit as of Monday. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Wegmans recalls yellowfin tuna in 5 stores over poisoning risk by Marcia Greenwood, Rochester Democrat Chronicle, USA Today Network. Wegmans Food Markets is recalling 3 varieties of yellowfin tuna sold at 4 stores in New Jersey and 1 in Connecticut because of elevated scombrotoxin levels caused by improper refrigeration. The affected fish may contain high levels of histamine, which can cause scrambroid fish poisoning. The contaminated tuna may not look, smell, or taste different from safe fish. What is scrambroid fish poisoning? Scrambroid fish poisoning is a foodborne illness caused by eating fish with high levels of scombrotoxin, a histamine produced when certain fish are not properly refrigerated. The illness can resemble an allergic reaction, usually develops within minutes to hours after eating contaminated fish. Common symptoms include rash, diarrhea, redness or flushing of the face, neck, arms, or upper body, sweating, headache, vomiting. Other symptoms may include a burning sensation or swelling in the mouth, difficulty swallowing, stomach pain, and heart palpitations. Most cases resolve on their own, but severe cases may require treatment with fast-acting antihistamines. Where was the recalled Wegmans tuna sold? It was sold in the following Wegmans locations: Ocean, New Jersey, Mount Laurel, New Jersey, Princeton, New Jersey, Woodbridge, New Jersey, and Norwalk, Connecticut. No Wegmans stores in New York are listed in the recall. Customers who purchased the recalled yellow tuna should return the product to a Wegmans customer service desk for a full refund. They can also contact Wegmans at 855-934-3663 from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. The reporter, Marcia Greenwood, covers the grocery business and consumer-focused grocery news, as well as retail developments, openings, and closings. Send story tips to mgreenwood at rochester.gannett.com. Follow her on X at Marcia Greenwood. Youth Mental Health First Aid Course offered. The Rochester Democrat Chronicle, USA Today Network, from Canandaigua. University of Rochester Medicine Thompson Health's Wellness Department is offering a youth mental health first aid class for adults who work with youths. Teachers, school staff, coaches, camp counselors, youth group leaders, and other adults who work with youths are encouraged to sign up for the free training. Parents are also welcomed. Created by the National Council for Mental Well-Being, it begins with a 2-hour self-paced online course. That is followed by an in-person instructor-led training from 9:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Tuesday, August 18th at Wood Library, 134 North Main Street in Canandaigua. The course will teach participants to assess risks of suicide or harm, listen without judgment, give reassurance and information, encourage appropriate professional help, and encourage self-help as well as other support strategies. To register, call 585-396-6111 or email Kristen-Seifried. It's Kristen-Seifried at urmc.rochester.edu. Growth in optical and solar help Corning beat earnings estimates by Jeff Smith, Corning Leader, USA Today Network. Fresh off celebrating its 175th anniversary at its Steuben County World Headquarters, Corning announced its second quarter 2026 results on July 28th, delivering a ninth consecutive quarter of year-over-year growth. Wendell Weeks, Corning Chairman, CEO, and President, said the Q2 results demonstrated progress on the company's recently upgraded Springboard plan. Year over year, Q2 core sales grew 17% to $4.74 billion, according to the report. Core earnings per share grew 30% to 0.78 cents. AI and solar products continued to fuel sales growth. Optical communications grew sales 32% to $2.07 billion, including a 65% increase in enterprise networks, with Gen AI product sales growing significantly faster, the company announced. Solar grew sales 90% and completed an extended maintenance shutdown and equipment upgrade at Corning's solar wafer facility, Corning said. Management expects profitability to improve in Q3. Quote, in the second quarter, we delivered outstanding results, stated Weeks. We upgraded our Springboard plan to grow sales to an annualized run rate of $20 billion by the end of 2026, $30 billion by the end of 2028, and $40 billion by the end of 2030. Weeks said Corning is entering a new phase of accelerated growth. Quote, we expect to deliver a sales compound annual growth rate of 19% from quarter 4 2026 to quarter 4 2030, while growing earnings faster than sales with significantly higher returns on invested capital and substantially more free cash flow, Weeks said. We continue to deepen our long-term customer partnerships with industry leaders, most recently with Amazon and NVIDIA. These partnerships provide strong proof points for supporting our exciting Springboard plan, unquote. In quarter 2, Amazon announced a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar agreement under which Corning will supply the optical fiber cable connectivity solutions that power Amazon's expanding data center infrastructure across the United States. NVIDIA and Corning announced a long-term partnership in which Corning will expand its U.S.-based optical connectivity manufacturing capacity by 10 times and expand its U.S. fiber production capacity by more than 50% to meet the accelerating demand driven by AI factory buildouts. In the third quarter, Corning management expects the core sales to grow approximately 16% year over year to a range of $4.9 billion to $5 billion, and core EPS to grow approximately 28% year over year to a range of 0.85 cents to 0.89 cents, I think. Quote, in the second quarter, we delivered our ninth consecutive quarter of year-over-year growth and continue to enhance our financial profile, unquote, said Ed Schlesinger, Corning Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. Schlesinger said in the third quarter, Corning Incorporated expects core sales to grow approximately 16% year over year to a range of $4.9 billion to $5 billion, and core EPS to grow about 28% year over year to a range of 85 to 89 cents. Okay. Quote, we also expect an improving impact on earnings from solar starting in quarter 3 as our ramp continues, building toward a revenue stream of more than $3 billion with strong profit and cash flow, unquote, Schlesinger said. Quote, overall, we're off to a great start on our upgraded Springboard plan to capture a new phase of accelerating growth, unquote. Police. Child, age 3, found sitting in garbage during welfare check by the New York Connect team, USA Today Network. A Canandaigua man was arrested after police said they found a 3-year-old child living in unsafe conditions while he appeared intoxicated during a welfare check. The incident occurred about 5:43 p.m. July 13th at a home on North Main Street in Canandaigua. According to police, officers responded after a caller requested a welfare check, reporting that Andrew B. Kramer, 36, of Canandaigua, sounded intoxicated during a phone conversation. When officers arrived, they said Kramer showed signs of intoxication. Police also found a 3-year-old child sitting in garbage that included open alcoholic beverage containers and rotting food. The child was turned over to a relative, police said. Police charged Kramer with 1 count of endangering the welfare of a child and 2 counts of obstructing governmental administration. Authorities said Kramer physically resisted officers as they attempted to arrest him and later refused to provide his fingerprints and photograph during the booking process. Kramer was transported to the Ontario County Jail and was released on his own recognizance following his arraignment. Obituaries. Giuseppina Massera DiTucci. I'm going to spell this. First name is, I think it's Giuseppina. It's Giuseppina. Last name is Massera, Macera, and in parentheses, DiTucci, Ditucci. Aged 105 in Rochester, New York, passed on July 28th. Arrangements are through the DePoncio Funeral Home, Incorporated. Service time is August 1st at 9:30 a.m. at the Sacred Heart Cathedral, and interment is at Holy Sepulchre Cemetery. Eric Monje, spelled Monje, age 71, in Cleveland, NC, North Carolina, apparently. July 25th passed. Arrangements are through the Somerset Funeral Home. Marjorie A. Stacy in Gates, passed on July 27th. Arrangements are through the Leo M. Bean and Sons. Olga White, aged 88, in Palmyra, Macedon, New York, passed on July 26th. Arrangements are through the Robert L. Yost Funeral Home, Incorporated. One afternoon each month, admission is free at all Rochester Museum and Science Center locations. By Laura Nichols, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, USA Today Network. Rochester Museum and Science Center is offering free admission from noon to 5 p.m. on the first Wednesday of every month at its facilities. STEM, S-T-E-M, science, technology, electronics, and math, I believe. STEM activities during the Amazon free afternoons include live demonstrations, the electricity theater, and hands-on activities at the museum, star and laser shows at Strassenberg Planetarium, and nature hikes and outdoor explorations at the Cumming Nature Center. No tickets are necessary. People should check in at the welcome desk. The remaining 2026 dates are August 5th, September 2nd, October 7th, November 4th, and December 2nd. In 2027, the museum lists the dates as February 6th, February 3rd, March 3rd, April 7th, May 5th, June 2nd, and July 7th. Amazon and the Community Foundation are sponsoring the afternoons. The museum and planetarium are at 657 East Avenue. Cumming Nature Center is at 6473 Gulick Road, Naples, Ontario County. For information, go to rmsc.org/events/Amazon-free-afternoons/. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat and Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. America's 250th anniversary takes center stage at Speedy Fest 2026. Speedy spell Spiedie by Sunshine Lynch, the Binghamton Press and Sun Bulletin, USA Today Network. The Speedy Fest and Balloon Rally will return to Otsiningo Park in August for its 42nd year, and this year will bring more entertainment and more family activities, as well as honoring America's 250th anniversary. Speedy Fest event director Dave Pesagno said the festival gets bigger every year. He's anticipating between 75 and 100,000 people to fill Otsiningo Park throughout the three-day event, which will take place August 7th through the 9th. Tickets have been sold across 17 states, Canada, and Europe, Pesagno said, though the main support stems from the local community, which has continued to engage with and strengthen the festival over the last 4 decades. Quote, "It seems to get bigger every year," Pesagno said. 42 years is a long time to keep a festival going, but that says a lot for our community, unquote. Here's what to know about Speedy Fest in 2026, including what's new, parking, performances, and tickets. When is the Speedy Fest in 2026? It will take place from August 7th through 9th. The festival will open at 3 p.m. on August 7th and end at, well, it says 10 a.m. It's going to open at 3 p.m. on August 7th, and it's going to open at 10 a.m. on August 8th and August 9th. When do the balloons launch? Balloon launches will be held at 8:30 p.m. August 7th and 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. on August 8th and August 9th. What's new for Speedy Fest in 2026? But Pesagno said this year will be dedicated to the 250th anniversary of the United States. Therefore, the park will be completely decorated to reflect that. Along with the decor, the balloon launches will feature an American flag balloon and the Space Shuttle balloon, one of the largest balloons in the country. The Space Shuttle, according to a June 24th Speedy Fest Facebook post, stands at 190 feet tall, 115 feet wide, and weighs 992 pounds, which is, quote, quite possibly the biggest hot air balloon ever to visit Broome County, unquote. For new entertainment in 2026, the festival is introducing a butterfly encounter, Pesagno said. Visitors enter into a butterfly structure to interact with and learn about butterflies as they fly around and land on them. Adding to the new entertainment will be Circus Stella, a mini circus that Pesagno said will feature clowns, jugglers, and dog acts, perfect for families. Overall, the park will be packed with over 300 displays and vendors, he said, ensuring a fun-filled weekend for all. Who is performing at Speedy Fest in 2026? On August 7th, a Billy Joel tribute band called Downtown Men will perform at 7 p.m., and a Jimmy Buffett tribute band titled Changes in Latitude will perform at 8:15 p.m. On August 8th, Marina City will perform at 6 p.m., followed by Ashley Kutcher at 7 p.m., before multi-platinum artist Brett Young takes the stage at 8 p.m. for a 90-minute show. Pesagno said Brett Young is, quote, probably the biggest artist, unquote, the festival has ever had, allowing for the, quote-unquote, best-selling concert the festival has ever seen. On August 9th, country music duo Locash will take the stage at 7:30 p.m. What else is there to do? On August 7th, the Butterfly Encounter and Midway rides open at 4 p.m., wrestling at 6 p.m., Circus Stella at 6 p.m., Puppy Pals Live at 7 p.m., and Night Glow at 8:30 p.m. On August 8th, a volleyball tournament starts at 8 a.m., car show at 10 a.m., Butterfly Encounter opens at noon, Midway rides open at noon, Circus Stella at 1 p.m., WBNG Big Brother and Amazing Race meet and greet at 1 p.m. On August 9th, the Kelly LeBaire 5K at 9:30 a.m., the car show at 10 a.m., Kobe's Kids Run at 10:30 a.m., Butterfly Encounter opens at noon, Midway rides open at noon, the Speedy Cooking Contest at 1 p.m., and Circus Stella at 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 7 p.m. How much are tickets? August 7th is free admission to the live entertainment and festival. On August 8th and 9th, admission to the festival only is $10. Tickets to the Brett Young concert on August 8th start at $43.42, and tickets to the Low Cash concert on August 9th start at $27.52. Admission to the festival is included with the purchase of a concert ticket, and tickets can be purchased online at speedyfest.com, spelled SPIEDIEFEST.com. Parking is available on site, which is limited, and a parking pass is required. Parking starts at $32.82 on August 7th, $85.82 on August 8th, and $43.42 on August 9th. Parking passes can be purchased at speedyfest.com, SPIEDIEFEST.com. There is also off-site parking at SUNY Broome, 907 Front Street, Town of Dickinson, with a shuttle bus service to the festival. That parking is only $15 from August 7th to the 9th. Also at Sunrise Terrace, 12 Terrace Drive, Town of Dickinson, a shuttle will not be offered. Parking is $20 per vehicle, August 7th through 9th. For more information about the Speedy Fest and Balloon Rally, including a full schedule of events, visit speedyfest.com. NFL commentary. Harbaugh's Giants training camp must reset attitude, by Art Stapleton, NorthJersey.com, USA Today Network, New Jersey. The Giants have been pushed around for too long on both sides of the ball. They've emphasized building a team that refuses to get shoved without consequence between the lines, in back page headlines and on banners pulled by planes over MetLife Stadium. That was going to take making over a locker room last year that needed to not only help establish a shift in expectations and results, but also do what is needed to change perspective and performance. Enter John Harbaugh, who wants to build the Giants into a bully in NFC East, and for that to happen, the tone will be set in camp at the Greenbrier in West Virginia, which started on July 29th. Jackson Dart and Cam Skatebow represented that change in attitude last season in a Thursday night upset of the Eagles, breaking free of the old button-down Giants way that had gotten stale with all the losing for more than a decade. The Eagles, the Cowboys, and as of the 2024 season, the Commanders all took turns pushing the Giants around, mocking their existence regardless of the 4 Vince Lombardi trophies that sit in the lobby of their training facility. Harbaugh believes it's time for the Giants to answer back, despite the perception around the team that a while ago became a pushover in the NFC East and beyond. We talk about creating identity, and for years, during this decade plus of despair in particular, the Giants were quick to try and steal that from their past instead of coming up with a new way of defining themselves. Harbaugh wants the identity of this team to be about its attitude. There must be a refusal to let opponents force their will upon the Giants, which has happened far too often. That begins with 10 practices in 11 days, a change in philosophy from previous coaching regimes that pulled back from physicality out of fear of injury. That's not going to happen under Harbaugh, but the toughness needs to come from the players, and it's not solely about want to. Some players are just made that way, and in order to compete with the Eagles, Cowboys, and the Commanders, the Giants will not measure up until they match that edge not only with talent, but in their hearts and minds. These Giants want to play with attitude. They want to hit you and punch you hard, and if they take a punch, be resilient enough to hit back just as hard, even harder. For years, the Eagles have been that way, and it's shown up on the scoreboard and in the standings, especially against the Giants, who have not won in Philadelphia since 2013. If the Giants are going to compete at that level, they must alter the mindset, not just the football, from inside out. Coyote Attack Prompts Warnings for Pet Owners, by Alexandra Rivera, New York Connect Team, USA Today Network. Village of Croton-on-Hudson officials are reminding residents to take precautions around coyotes after a recent report that a coyote attacked and carried away a family's cat in Croton-on-Hudson. The Croton-on-Hudson police said officers responded around 9 a.m. Saturday, July 25th, to a report of a cat that had been taken from a yard on O'Reilly Court. The coyote ran into a wooded area with the cat and was not located. Officials said the incident is a reminder for residents to take steps to protect pets and reduce conflicts with coyotes. How to prevent coyote encounters in your yard. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation recommends several steps to reduce the chance of attracting coyotes and other wildlife. Residents should never feed coyotes or encourage others to feed them. Keep pet food indoors. Do not leave food outside. Secure garbage so coyotes and other wildlife cannot access it. Remove bird feeders or reduce bird seed use, which can attract birds and rodents that may also attract coyotes. How to protect pets from coyotes. The DEC recommends that residents do not allow coyotes to approach people or pets. Keep pets supervised outdoors, especially around sunset and at night when coyotes are more active. Do not allow pets to roam freely. Consider installing fencing that's tight to the ground, extends about 6 inches below ground level, and is taller than 4 feet. Remove brush and tall grass around homes to reduce hiding areas for coyotes. Residents should also remain aware of their surroundings and consider carrying a flashlight or walking stick when outside, particularly in areas where coyotes have been reported. ATV driver who swerved to avoid porcupine dies. For New York Connect Team USA Today Network. A woman has died from injuries she suffered in an ATV crash earlier this month in Cortland County, according to New York State Police. State Police said Natasha R. Kinney, 34, of Cincinnati's Cortland County, died July 26 from injuries she sustained in the July 7th crash. Troopers responded around 11:50 p.m. July 7th to the 4200 block of Stramba Road in the town of Freetown for a reported ATV crash. Investigators said Kinney was driving an ATV southeast on Stramba Road when she swerved to avoid a porcupine in the roadway. The maneuver caused the ATV to overturn and roll into a ditch, ejecting her from the vehicle. Kinney was taken to SUNY Upstate Medical University in Syracuse with serious injuries. She died from those injuries on July 26th, police said. State police did not release additional information about the investigation. McDonald's free backpack giveaway returns by Aaron Jones, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle USA Today Network. McDonald's Golden Arches Pack Give Back program is coming back in 2026. Through this program, New York State McDonald's locations will host free backpack giveaways for students in need from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Wednesday, August 5th. The backpacks will come filled with essential school supplies. Each student is allowed one backpack, and the student must attend the event to receive a backpack. The backpacks are first come, first served, as there are a limited number of backpacks at each location. The following Rochester locations will participate in the giveaway: at 1450 Lyle Avenue, 1710 East Avenue, 35 Spencerport Road in Gates, 2121 East Henrietta Road in Henrietta, 150 South Avenue in Hilton, 44 Nichols Street in Spencerport, 67 Main Street in Leroy, Genesee County, 13 East State Street, Mount Morris, Livingston County, 8 Forkham Street, Lyons in Wayne County, 4090 Pearsall Street in Williamson, Wayne County, 2362 North Main Street in Warsaw, Wyoming County, and 2500 Mount Road in Waterloo. Some participating Rochester locations will hold special promotions during the giveaway. The Spencerport location will host a meet and greet with Grimace. There will be opportunities for kids to sign up for library cards, get coupons for discounted haircuts, and step inside a school bus so they feel ready for their first day. At the Henrietta location, kids have a chance to get a free signed copy of The Adventures of Zada Jane, written by local McDonald's owner-operator Mari Potter. The Ronald McDonald House staff will give away free bookmarks, and kids will have a chance to step inside a school bus to prepare for their first day. McDonald's locations in the Buffalo, Syracuse, and Albany areas and the Southern Tier are also participating in the giveaway. The full list of participating locations is available at mcdsnybackpacks.com. The reporter, Erin Jones, is a Democrat Chronicle intern covering food and retail. You can reach her on Instagram or email her at ejones@usatodayco.com. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Democrat Chronicle on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. ICE seen in Hudson Valley amid quote-unquote surge uncertainty. Spate of warnings tell of law enforcement actions by Chris McKenna, New York State Team USA Today Network. A social media alert went out early on July 21st about immigration agents on Cottage Street in Middletown. The next morning, 2 similar bulletins were posted for Monroe and White Plains. The next day, there was one in Kingston. From across the lower Hudson Valley has come a spate of recent warnings about new enforcement actions, each documented online with photos and videos of what are said to be federal officers stopping in one neighborhood after another. One immigrant advocate has posted almost 30 such alerts in the last month, spanning more than a dozen places that include Port Chester, Ossining, Newburgh, and Croton-on-Hudson. The activity comes in the wake of vows since May by Tom Homan, the Trump administration's quote-unquote border czar, to send a surge of immigration customs enforcement to New York. But it's unclear if the almost daily ICE sightings being broadcast to immigrant communities in the Hudson Valley are signs of an actual surge or simply more robust enforcement happening all over the U.S. with a beefed-up deportation force. No data is available yet to measure if ICE activity has picked up recently in New York and by how much, and ICE officials didn't respond to questions from the USA Today Network about specific reports from the Hudson Valley or about the promised New York surge. Police chiefs in 3 communities, White Plains, Peekskill, and the village of Monroe, all confirmed recent reports of ICE activity in their jurisdictions when contacted by the US Today Network. Each said their departments had no involvement in the actions and had merely been notified in advance as a courtesy by the federal agency. They had no information about why agents were there or about any arrests they made. Hochul cast doubts on ICE surge pledge. Asked at a July 20 event about the threat of a surge, Governor Kathy Hochul said she has reminded Homan that President Donald Trump promised her he wouldn't allow a flood of agents in New York unless she or a particular community requested it. Big enforcement pushes have taken place in other states, including a 4-month operation in Minneapolis that involved at least 3,000 agents and resulted in the deaths of 2 Americans who were shot by agents in January. Quote, so I encouraged Tom Homan to talk to the big boss and ask him his position because I'm not giving that invitation nor that permission, unquote, Hochul told reporters. The cable station News Nation reported Monday, July 27th, based on what it said were unnamed ICE sources, that ICE started an enforcement operation in New York City that day and would move from Queens to other parts of the metropolitan area. The operation was said to involve agents already working in New York and not added forces from other areas. ICE announced in January it had hired 12,000 more agents and officers with new funding from the quote-unquote big beautiful bill that Republicans enacted last year over Democratic opposition. Though devoted largely to tax and spending cuts, The massive legislation also directed a total of $165 billion to the Department of Homeland Security, which encompasses ICE and other agencies. Republicans in Congress approved another $38 billion for ICE in June to fund the agency through the final 2 years of Trump's term. Why did Homan threaten to send more agents? The surge promise arose in response to New York's plans to enact new constraints on ICE after the shooting deaths in Minneapolis and the public outrage they set off. Those plans finally gelled in the state budget in late May with steps that included a ban on ICE agents wearing masks on duty and a ban on formal cooperation pacts between ICE and local law enforcement agencies in New York. Homan blasted the move, saying prohibiting 287G agreements with police would make immigration enforcement harder and less safe. But only 12 agencies throughout New York had signed such contracts, and all were in upstate areas except for Nassau County on Long Island. No Hudson Valley Police Departments or sheriff's offices had a 287G agreement. Hochul and Attorney General Letitia James announced Friday, July 24th, that a new state office had just notified the 12 agencies that they must end their ICE agreements by August 25th. That Office of Immigrant Trust was also created by the budget enacted in May and is charged with investigating complaints about immigration enforcement and ensuring compliance with the new rules. Where has ICE activity been reported in the Hudson Valley? A stream of alerts can be found on the personal Facebook page of Ignacio Acevedo, an immigrant advocate. Last name is spelled Acevedo. He posted 3 on Monday, July 7th alone. 2 early morning ICE actions on North Main Street in the Rockland County town of Ramapo, near the villages of New Square and Spring Valley, and then a 1 p.m. stop at Bonnevoie Place in New Rochelle. The New Rochelle Post included a photo of uniformed agents leading a handcuffed man into a vehicle. 1 day earlier, Acevedo had posted photos of what he said were vehicles belonging to, quote-unquote, La Migra, M-I-G-R-A, on Croton Street in the village of Ossining in northern Westchester County. Like nearly all of the reported ICE actions on his page, this visit happened early in the morning at around 7:45. Acevedo, who works for the New York Civil Liberties Union as its Hudson Valley organizer, couldn't be reached to discuss his postings. Police in Ramapo and Ossining told the USA Today network they had gotten no notification about the reported ICE stops in their communities and couldn't confirm that they occurred. Monroe Police Chief Darwin Guzman did confirm another report, saying ICE had left a message about coming to his Orange County village before agents turned up on Half Hollow Turn on July 22nd, as Acevedo posted. But he said his department isn't always notified before such visits and is never given specific addresses or the names of people being sought. Peekskill Police Chief Adam Renwick confirmed that ICE agents arrested 21-year-old Brian Deleg, Deleg-Sucuzhanay, on July 17th, as the Peekskill Herald reported. ICE media representatives didn't respond to questions about why Deleg Sucuzhanay was arrested and where he was taken. He is listed as a 2023 graduate of Peekskill High School. The reporter, Chris McKenna, covers government and politics for the Journal News and USA Today Network. Reach him at cmckenna at usatodayco.com. World Cup breaks help lift Coca-Cola. Company tops estimates for second quarter revenue, by Alexandra Morrow and Juveria Tabassum from Reuters. While fans complained about World Cup hydration breaks slowing the pace of the games, top sponsor Coca-Cola was pleased with the boost they provided to its energy drink sales that drove strong quarterly results and a raise in annual targets. The hydration breaks that split the matches into 4 segments created additional advertising opportunities for brands and lined the pockets of broadcasters such as Fox. Quote, I'm not sure whether these hydration breaks are going to be a permanent feature of the soccer world, but we were not unhappy with them in the World Cup, unquote. CFO John Murphy told Reuters in an interview, noting a particular boost for the company's Powerade brand. Increased consumption during the World Cup added to the momentum for Coca-Cola's trademark beverages and zero-sugar sodas that have enjoyed resilient demand despite a broader softening in spending on non-essential items, particularly from lower-income consumers in the United States. The beverage giant's second quarter comparable revenue rose about 6% to $13.37 billion, beating estimates of $13.16 billion, according to data compiled by LSEG. The most important thing would be how much of the World Cup, whether it was the hydration breaks or otherwise, drives a sustainable increase in demand rather than it being a one-time bump, said Kevin Grundy, analyst at BNP Paribas. The company reported a broadly positive quarterly performance with volume and margin growth offset by higher input costs. Murphy said aluminum and PET costs this year increased more than Coca-Cola had anticipated. Those costs were sparked by the war in Iran that has disrupted energy supplies and spiked fuel prices. Coca-Cola said in April it was working with its bottling partners to mitigate the impact. It had also locked in some lower prices from before the disruption, which began in February. But costs may still rise as the conflict drags on. Several companies have warned of input cost inflation in the second half of the year, including Pepsi company. Coca-Cola's Murphy said the company would have more to say on expectations around these costs for 2027 in October. Coca-Cola shares have risen about 20% so far this year and outperformed rival Pepsi company, which has suffered from weak snacking demand in the United States in recent quarters. Coca-Cola has previously raised prices and offered smaller pack sizes, as well as invested in some beverages in its portfolio, including ready-to-drink teas as well as milk products from its Fairlife brand, which boosted revenue. On an adjusted basis, Coca-Cola's second quarter operating margin grew to 35.6% from 34.7% a year ago. You have been listening to a reading of articles and features from the Thursday, July 30th issue of the Democrat Chronicle. Your reader has been Betsy Waugh. Thank you for listening.